Ladies and gentlemen, Behind the Line proudly presents to you another exciting edition of the Woke! Turning on the Woke! This episode is brought to you by Lonely Mans. Is your employer about to unjustly fire you after years of dedication to the woke wiener? Are you anticipating lonely nights soothing your bruised caboose as you are no longer surrounded by like-minded wanker spankers? If you are fearing loneliness after getting canned, signed up for exclusive content at Lonely Mans. Lonely Mans features a variety of woke men eager to keep you company. The dancing queen Jackie Mahomes, the donut diva Brian Stelter. You'll be spanking so hard your neighbors will be running for shelter. Do not wait to be mesmerized. Start your free trial today at lonelymans.com. After 18 years of dedicated service, after 18 years of polishing the turd, after 18 years of presenting high-quality propaganda, it appears that the mainstream media career of Jim Acosta is over. Right now, the Cemetery News Network is giving one last desperate attempt to prevent the Titanic from sinking. For 2 or 3 years now, ratings at CNN have been circling the pooper. Ever since November 5th, 2024, CNN's ratings, they were finally flushed. Since the election, CNN has lost 50% of their audience. Now, you got to remember, CNN was already counting their audience by the hundreds. This is not the same as MSNBC losing half their audience. When MSNBC lost half their audience in prime time, they went from averaging over 1 million viewers to 600,000 or 700,000. Before the election, CNN was lucky to have 600 or 700 people paying attention to their primetime dump. There are small towns across America that are bigger than CNN's audience. Anytime a network sees a decline that drastic, there's gonna be change. Smart executives, they would look at the daily lineup at CNN and realize that everyone's gotta go. But the changes at CNN, they're gonna be more subtle. Matter of fact, since no one is watching the network, I doubt these changes will even be noticed. I mean, seriously, who is going to realize that Wolf Blitzer, woof, woof, woof? Who is going to realize that Wolf moved from afternoons to morning television? The only person that might recognize that change is Granny when she turns on her TV in the morning and she is staring at the face of extinction. Instead of eradicating the woke fungus, which is the only solution to save CNN, and it's the same solution that Uncle KC has been giving away for free for years now. Instead of eradicating the woke fungus, CNN President Mark Thompson, he has decided to reshuffle the fungus. He's moving unknowns from afternoons to mornings. He provided a late Christmas gift to the family of Audie Cornish. The poor Cornish family, they have been looking for the lovely Audie for years. They have put up missing persons posters. They sent pictures to Shamrock Farms, hoping that they would put her face on the side of a milk carton. Unfortunately, all they got in return was a drunk phone call from the Pepperidge Farm guy. But luckily for the Cornish family, Mark Thompson, he acknowledged their concerns. As it turns out, Audie Cornish, she's been hosting a podcast at CNN this entire time. Makes sense now as to why her family was unable to find her. In the rare event that someone was actually listening to that podcast, they couldn't see her face. It was audio only, but Mark Thompson, he provided immediate relief by including the beautiful face of Audie Cornish on CNN's new and improved daily lineup. The show is guaranteed to draw dozens of viewers for the premiere episode as her family celebrates. It's been 2 or 3 days now since CNN announced that they were laying off 6% of their workforce, which equates to around 200 people. Since the announcement, I have been waiting and waiting to see if CNN would fire the people responsible for destroying the network. I have yet to see a single on-air talent at CNN joining Jamel Hill in the unemployment line. But it seems like Mark Thompson has a different strategy. With CNN struggling to draw flies to a fresh turd, I would assume that revenues are also down. Perhaps they can't afford to pay for unemployment benefits, so instead of firing James Acosta, better known to friends and family as Abilio, who knows? Maybe he is a distant cousin to my favorite Yenta, Asuncion. But instead of firing Abilio, CNN, they decided to remove him from their lineup. If he wants to remain at the network, James will be stuck working the graveyard shift, a demotion that James finds disrespectful and unacceptable. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel's in the description below. Yesterday on the second channel, we talked about the potentially devastating impact that unregulated NIL is having on college football. Tomorrow, going to be talking about Charles Barkley calling out Jimmy Butler and the mentality that is ruining the NBA. So head over to the second channel and subscribe. Headline at The Nation: CNN surrenders to Trump. CNN's pretend friends in the mainstream media, they are very upset. They're very bitter. For starters, they're upset with the new direction at CNN. Mark Thompson has demanded that his woke welfare collectors be neutral when covering Donald Trump. There will be no more Orange Man bad. There will be no more racism against the leader of the orange race. No more defunding the police. No more obsessing over the woke wiener. From now on, we will be a serious news organization. Do you guys remember the debate last summer between the Trumper and Johnny B. Biden? The debate was moderated by Jake the Bongo Tapper and, I think it was the blonde lady. I can never remember her name. She wasn't wearing the required name tag during the debate so viewers could properly recognize her. Obviously, we wouldn't recognize her face because no one watches the network. Maybe it was the lady who calls herself Dan. Who knows? Who cares? The point is, the debate was incredibly fair. CNN was so unbiased during the debate, they actually received praise from the Trumper. Did you ever wonder why? Mark Thompson. Mark Thompson demanded that the moderators be fair to the Trumper. It was the same thing during the inauguration. Over the past few weeks, the shit fuckery has been kept to a minimum at CNN. Mark Thompson is demanding that his on-air talent remain unbiased, neutral, which leads us to the second reason that their pretend friends in the mainstream media are bitter: the demotion of James Acosta. The woke media is pissed about the demotion of James. But when you think about it, it makes sense. If Mark Thompson wants CNN to be unbiased, that goal would be impossible to achieve with James. I'll give you an example. This clip is from Jim Acosta earlier this week, where he is trying to lecture a congressman about the truth. I'll follow up that clip with examples of Jim Acosta being allergic to the truth. Watch for yourself.
This is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes. Yeah. This is CNN. This is the news. We are asking you to come on and tell the truth.
And that's why more people are watching the Cartoon Network SpongeBob reruns right now.
It's an alarming choice for a man who has often struggled to unequivocally denounce white supremacists. You recall these moments.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Those words have power. They have meaning. And when Donald Trump speaks, the world listens. Neo-Nazis and white supremacists certainly listen. So why can't he denounce them? Why can't he reject their support?
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
What's your response to Donald Trump saying she should be fired, that Liz Cheney should be fired upon? He keeps speaking in these very extreme terms about the potential dangers to the country if he doesn't win in November. He's used words like bloodbath.
Is it any wonder why Jim Acosta got demoted? Hell, I wouldn't even call this a demotion. Jim Acosta was essentially fired. If you have ever worked in a management position before, you know exactly what Mark Thompson is doing. If you've ever worked in management, there are times when you want to fire someone, but you don't really have cause. You don't really have a good reason to fire them. You just want to fire them because you're tired of seeing their face. Since you can't fire them for cause, you come up with a better way to do it. You make their job so miserable, they quit, which is exactly what Mark Thompson is doing with Jim Acosta. He knows James isn't going to accept the night shift. Abilio is 53 years old. He's not some rookie. He's not a fresh graduate from the Jamel Hill Department of Journalism at Woke U. James is a veteran in the mainstream media. He's not going to be relegated to hosting a show at 1 o'clock in the morning. Mark Thompson is trying to get James to quit, and it's working. It is being reported Jim Acosta, he is threatening to leave CNN. Maybe he gets a job at MSNBC. Maybe he gets a job as a local reporter in Gay, Georgia. Maybe he launches a podcast that no one will give a shit about. I just don't know if his ego is going to allow him to stay at CNN, which is probably for the best since the network is clearly moving in a different direction. The woke media is trying to spin this as CNN bowing to the Trumper. The media is claiming that they're surrendering to Donald Trump. I guess so Donnie doesn't put them in the mythical summer camps that the media is pretending to be afraid of. But CNN, they're not surrendering to Trump. They're surrendering to you. Credit to Mark Thompson for realizing that the woke fungus is destroying the network. Mark Thompson is trying to make content that is appealing to normal people. Problem is, he is trying to use the same unknowns that normal people don't trust. This is the exact same strategy that Chris Licht used that did not work. And it didn't work because it was half-assed. It didn't work because Chris Licht refused to go all the way. If it doesn't work with Mark Thompson, which it probably won't, he will likely lose his job, which means CNN, they'll be hiring their fourth president in 5 years. They can't find anyone to monetize this turd. Pushing out Jim Acosta, that's a step in the right direction, but that ain't enough. You have got to eradicate the fungus from top to bottom. But for some reason, CNN just doesn't seem willing to do it. Give me your thoughts on this. Jim Acosta threatening to leave CNN. Do you think he will actually leave? Will he leave the network after 18 years? Or will he accept his new role where he's buried in the graveyard shift? Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.